And this one I'm going to reference a lot through the slides. So a target, some of you will refer to your desired outcomes as either that term or a goal or objective. We have started to use target much more deliberately. And so again, I'll give you lots of examples throughout the presentation, but a target has three elements. What will get done, when it will get done, which is often the one that's forgotten, and who will do it. So I'll give you lots of examples throughout, but I wanted to give you this frame of reference and a bit of a visual to keep in mind. Okay, so this is where I'm starting to get into the practical learning target. So this is the first learning target. So this is the department-wide targets I'm going to talk about. Okay, and in most of these examples, if not all of them, I'm going to compare and contrast how we used to do things with how we're doing them today. So on the left side of this slide, you'll see three different years, 2016, 2017, and 2018. And on the right side, you'll see our last term or semester, so the fall of 2020, and you'll see our current year, or sorry, our current term, the winter 2021. So I'm going to highlight a few points on here, and I'm using arrows to draw your attention to a few different points. And again, I want you to keep targets in mind. So what, when, and who. So in 2016, we established 2 department-wide targets. In fact, that has kind of become a norm for us. Ideally, I'd like 1, but we've been able to get to 2 regularly. So in 2016, we said we will be 100% occupied for fall 2016. As I reflect back on how we used to structure targets, there's a few criticisms. And so I'm going to just briefly touch on what those are through these 3 blue arrows. So at the A arrow, I'm pointing at the we, because who is the we? Ultimately, it's a vague term, and it wasn't specific enough. And you'll, I think, discover that continuous improvement organizations, it's in the details, that the action is in the details. So you have to get more specific. So you'll see that as we have evolved, we've gotten more specific in how our system operates. But the we is too vague, so the accountability is too vague. And the B is pointing at the year. We used to set up our department-wide targets for an entire year, but it's way too long of a period of time. And then this next one, C, the department-wide target that we wrote was investigate how living environments contribute to student success so we can help our students thrive. But what does thrive mean? So ultimately, it's a vague outcome. It can be interpreted in different ways. It can have different definitions, so it was too vague. So it wasn't specific enough. So you can see more recently, I'm pointing at a few different things from the fall. But the first one here, D, is a very specific date. So rather than an entire year, we're focusing on a very specific date. With E, we're looking at a very specific number, 2,400. So on Monday, January 11th, we will have 2,400 students living in our residence communities. Whereas in 2017, we said we will be ready to welcome more students than ever. But what is more students? It could be one more student, and then we would hit that target. So we got very specific last term. And then lastly, and this will transition into the next set of slides. So our target at the beginning of last term was by November 27th, we want to execute the Fall 20 Campus Housing Anti-Racism Action Plan. So we had never done an action plan before. What we had created was these broad statements. But again, we needed to get more specific to be effective. And so we specifically referred to an action plan. And so I'll use that as a transition to the next set of slides here. So with the action plan, we came up with 7 sub-targets. So I'm showing 3 examples here. And again, you'll see that the target model is represented in each of these sub-targets. So the who, when, and what. So one of the targets, so I'll just highlight the top one here, educate ourselves on anti-racism. We wanted our full-time staff to become more knowledgeable about the issue. And so for the who, we targeted one specific group on our team to do the work. So again, increasing accountability. We indicated a very specific date when we wanted the work done by. And then we indicated we wanted to have an equity, diversity, inclusion, customized training plan for our department for all full-time staff so that we could do the training. And this was our first opportunity to try out the action plan. And ultimately, it worked really well. And not only did they present a powerful report, but we accepted it. And then they actually did extra work where they actually then set up the training. It was online training. And that allowed us just last month to have all 100% of our staff go through that training.